Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Nevada Irrigation District Board of Directors meeting for March 26th. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Division 1.
Here.
Division 2. Absent.
Absent.
Division 3.
Here.
Division 4.
Here.
Division 5.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a quorum. Is there any public comment on items that are not on the agenda, either by electronic or in person here? And we do limit these comments to 3 minutes.
Yeah, I asked if it was a workshop today.
Yeah, no.
Okay. My name is Michael Taylor. I live in Nevada City. Sorry I've missed the past meetings, especially the last one. I do want to raise a concern that I have. And if I understood the meeting correctly that happened on the day Trevor resigned, when you guys voted, I believe, to get rid of Centennial, to get rid of the Centennial Dam project. When I say get rid of, table it, I understood at that time in that meeting, I thought that you guys were tabling it to save money from having to keep the permits or something, applications current. And through that process of tabling it, you would retain the property and have the option for, if the project was to go back into play by another person, you guys would have the control of it, I thought. And I think at that time I said that I didn't believe that it was a wise idea to get rid of the Centennial Dam, that water storage was important, and that I was comfortable with what you guys were suggesting, that it still left you guys in a position to be able to bring it back on or to somehow be part of the process if somebody else were to bring in to exercise doing the Centennial Dam. I think at the time I also said that I was concerned you guys tabled Centennial Dam before having full understanding if Rollins Lake could even be raised 30 or 50 feet. I believe you guys are going to have a lot of opposition to raising Rollins Lake 30 feet or 50 feet, and should have kept that project on the books until that was resolved. Now I'm really concerned that I'm reading that you guys are selling property to now make it so it's not even possible to bring that dam back into play per se. Or having say, if somebody else were to bring it back in, that you guys are in control of the property. I have some concern that cleaning house, getting rid of properties, has an underlying reasoning that maybe possibly isn't transparent, and that is making sure nobody else can do Centennial Dam. I am a strong advocate that dam should have been kept in play until after there was resolution on other water storage, and especially, I'll go right into segue into my PG&E thing, with all the issues with Spalding and PG&E. There is
Mr. Taylor, your 3 minutes are up. Can you wind up, please? Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Public comment? Items not on the agenda. Is there someone there? No, okay. I see none, so we will move forward to the consent agenda. Anyone have any comment or any items they want to address on the consent?
I'd just like to make the comment that I'm frustrated with 3D and the electric vehicle purchase.
Would you like to pull that item for discussion?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can we have a motion for that effect?
Move to pull 3D.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. A second. Okay,
Second.
thank you. Motion second. Please call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Yes. Division 5.
Yes.
Division 4.
Yes.
Division 3.
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Okay, that item is pulled. We can begin our.
I move
discussion.
to accept the consent agenda except for 3D.
Second.
Motion is second for the balance of the consent agenda.
Can we call the roll, please?
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Okay. So who wants to start out with item 3D? Earl does, okay.
I have no problem with electric vehicles. I think they have their place in time. My comment here is more of a frustration in venting. Everyone might know here, my wife has a 4xe Jeep. It uses electricity. It uses gas. It can go back and forth to town wonderfully and everything's wonderful. Weather drops down, gets cold, batteries don't charge, don't keep a charge. It's miserable. I understand why we have to do it. I'm frustrated with it. I'm just venting on that part of it. Because I'd hate, I know it's only going to be used in the lower division where we do have better weather. If we have to use it up in the future, up in the higher country, because we have no other options, we almost have to send 2 vehicles as a rescue, or we put a trailer on with a thing with a diesel generator. So I just wanted to vent my frustration and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Rich?
Go ahead,
Brad?
My only concern, I just wish it wasn't state mandated. I wish that the electric vehicle was so useful that we wanted to do this, but I think we're gonna have some growing pains with it.
Yeah, and I think anymore.
You done?
That's it. That's it.
A lot of other agencies, districts are pushing back. And the fact that this vehicle can only tow 10,000 pounds, it has a short bed, it has a range of 440 miles if you're not towing. And so if we have a situation where we have limited bed size, we only have 440 miles if you're not pulling a load or carrying a load. Because what they have found with the larger trucks, the semis, is that the people selling them won't even let the buyer tow with them for a trial. So they have a recommendation of so many miles. And yet they know, the seller knows that if you put a trailer behind them, that miles goes way down. And so the buyers, and I'm talking to a buyer who wants to buy a bunch of them, can't get any guarantees from the seller. I think this is the same situation. This is a 440 miles under ideal conditions. We may not get the use out of it that we want. I just want to wait a while. Let's see how it shakes out. And it really irks me that it's an $80,000 car, pickup that hasn't been proven, whereas you can go out and get a Duramax right now for under 60 grand. Full on crew cab, 3/4 ton Duramax for under 60 grand. It's 57 something. So the value isn't there. It's too early on the science behind it. And I know we have a mandate. I'd just like to see us wait a little bit and make it prove that this vehicle works.
Okay. I will voice my one concern. I understand I'm in full support of electric vehicles and especially hybrid electric vehicles. What concerns me about this particular regulation, and I get that we can't do anything about it, but is that it feels very much like a rural versus urban mandate. You know, this may just work great for those districts in Modesto or Bay Area. However, you know, you get up here in the foothills and it's just a different thing. So I wish that there was some way, once again, that rural California could have some kind of either exemption or at least some thought go into it. So
Right.
that's my concern.
I think your concerns are valid, and staff, we share many of the same concerns. The 2 vehicles that are being recommended for replacement with the electric vehicles are utilized for vegetation control. So we're not as concerned with higher elevation use where a lot of these cold weather problems come into effect. This is a state statewide law. So we would be in non-compliance with the law, and it would also be problematic for future years of compliance. So our recommendation stands that we
Mhm.
purchase the vehicles. Steve, do you have anything to add?
Madam President, that was a very important statement when you're talking about the rural versus urban, that this is the only 4x4 electric vehicle that is in production that could be purchased that that could meet our needs for the type of terrain we utilize. We have been lucky so far, I guess, fortunate that there are no other 4x4 electric vehicles, so that the vehicles that we would need to replace that do not fit this specification, that we have successfully obtained exemptions from that requirement so that we could buy traditional vehicles. Ones that we can buy chassis and put on custom beds or other type of equipment for our specialized needs in a 4x4 package. The only other vehicle that's 4x4 that potentially could be utilized is the Dodge Ram version of the electric vehicle that was supposed to come out fourth quarter 2024. It has been postponed to fourth quarter 2025 tentatively. We're starting to see advertisements for them, but you still cannot pre-order them. But there is no other vehicle that can meet our needs for our workforce. We are able to purchase these for vegetation. There is some limitations with this Chevy truck, is that it comes with a standard bed, a shortened bed, but it's not customizable. So you'd have to use it off the lot. So we can modify the truck bed for our needs for vegetation, but it's not something that we could replace the truck bed with a flat bed or anything else that could be utilized for maintenance, operations, or hydro. So that's one of the purchase. The other benefit to purchasing these two is that per California Air Resource Board Advanced Clean Fleet, 50% of our purchases have to be electric. So what this does is free up 2 internal combustible engine vehicles that we can then purchase subsequent to this that are not going to be requiring an exemption. So we can then utilize that ability to purchase vehicles that more suit our intensive uses.
So this sounds like a strategic purchase.
is.
Yeah.
It's a chess game, and then and we're just trying to stay ahead of it.
Right.
And it looked good when the EPA, when California, we decided to revoke their waiver requests for a majority of the ACF. But one of the things they did not do is relieve public agencies of this requirement. And technically, the regulation's still in force for everyone. The CARB has decided not to enforce the regulation until such time as they obtain that waiver, but the law is still on the books. So they're waiting for a more favorable political outcome to probably revisit this. We still, even private entities still have to provide notification of purchase of additional vehicles, keep track of all their vehicles. They're just waiting to restart the enforcement at such time as they obtain those waivers.
Thank you. I just have one quick follow-up question. Was there a date that we had to do this by?
January of 2024 was the beginning of
That's
the
what I
process.
thought.
We
Okay.
received a waiver for last year, so we're trying to purchase. And I also think, to Director Fowler's point, this might, in a perfect world where we weren't being mandated, we might want to explore this technology anyway.
Mhm.
So I also view this as an opportunity to utilize electric vehicle trucks, and that will also help us determine how to move forward in the future,
Mhm.
regardless of what the regulations are.
Yeah, as we did a prior workshop about a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
there were 2 ways to comply with the Advanced Clean Fleets regulations. There was a percentage of the fleet modification each year from 24 to 27, or that the second avenue was to comply by purchasing at least 50% a year of any new purchases as electric vehicles or CARB compliant vehicles. We took 2. because for the 3 years transition period between 24 and 27, when in 2027, all new vehicles purchased by public agencies of a medium size or larger will be required to be electric vehicles, if one exists at that time.
Director Stevens, you had comment or?
Yeah, I know this is mostly frustration, but hopefully there's an answer in here someplace. I know it's California, one size fits all. So us being the high country versus the Bay Area, it doesn't matter. But a lot of time, I've talked to Jen about this, but is there any way that we can figure out a different form of an offset? Meaning we have to buy, you said midsize or greater vehicles, you have to 1-for-1 or stuff like that. Is there any other way that we can offset the electric vehicle thing by buying, I don't know, the Prius and parking it, or using it for local bank runs or something like that, and that offset, you know?
Yeah,
There's a lot of cheap Teslas out there.
Advanced Clean Fleets regulation is only mandates vehicles class 2 and above. So our light duty vehicles, the class 1 vehicles are exempt from that until at such time in 2035, when all light duty vehicles, whether public or private, are required to be purchased electric vehicle only. So that's kind of the built-in exemption for the light duties, but this one is for medium to heavy duty vehicles. Although there are some exceptions, like the vacuum truck, 2-engine vehicles are exempt from these regulations, and other type cherry pickers and street sweepers and other vehicles of dual use nature are exempt. But no, the requirement is that if we're purchasing medium to heavy duty vehicles, 50% of our purchases must be ZEV, zero emission vehicles, or that we obtain an exemption.
So I don't know if these even exist. Do we have a 3/4 ton or a half full ton hybrid? Is there such an animal out there?
Well, the Chevy is a 3/4 ton.
Okay, but is it a hybrid? So it runs on both fuel?
No, this is
and-
the only hybrid one that potentially could be utilized by us is the Dodge Ram that has not gone into true production yet. Where this is a electric engine with a gasoline powered generator internal to the vehicle. So
The Lightning is?
no, the Dodge Ram.
Dodge Ram, excuse me.
No, the Chevy is a true electric vehicle. The Dodge is basically a mobile generator that runs off batteries, and then when the batteries are dead, it converts the gasoline is used to power the generator that then recharges the batteries and moves the vehicle.
Then, I don't know, I'm going down a rabbit hole.
I agree with that.
Do we need the 4-wheel drive at this point for the vegetation control? Can we get a cheaper vehicle?
No, we
Need a
must
4-wheel
utilize 4x4 from for them traversing the canal system. We would not want to get them stuck.
Spray crew that goes and sprays the canals. They have to be able to drive.
Can we buy a super cheap vehicle that's electric and just park it? I mean, just
Technically, we are. For the truck size that we're purchasing, we are.
Not only the only one out, it's the cheapest one.
oh boy.
Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where the state has made mandates where technology and the private industry is not quite caught up.
There are other types of vehicles out there, box trucks and vans that are comparable in price, that might be a little lower, and we could park, but that is just, I would say, misuse of our funds to do that.
Our recommendation is we proceed.
So your timing is that you need to buy these two in order to
By the other.
By
buy the others by,
non-electric.
and when do you need them?
Well, the exemptions or the compliance is year to year.
Calendar year.
So although, and it is a chess game, we have the two that we're purchasing electric, which frees up 2 internal combustible ones, but we have more than 4 purchases earmarked for this year. So we are also applying for exemptions on some of our utility vehicles to get additional internal combustible engine vehicles by the end of the calendar year.
Yes. Steve and his team have carefully laid out a strategy, and the first step of the strategy is to purchase these vehicles to allow us to purchase more
Right.
combustible.
And we have to do it
Vehicles
in
this
that
year.
sequence. We have to buy the electric first.
It sounds like it
I
in
don't
order
know.
to get.
I think
I know.
compliance is on an annual basis, but I don't know why you would delay if you're gonna buy it the same calendar year. That's not helpful.
Well, because a lot of districts, a lot of agencies are pushing back at the state saying, hey, this doesn't work for us in the rural areas. I think it'd behoove us to also to join that effort.
And we participate in letter writing campaigns and those types of things, but our recommendation stands to move forward.
Okay.
I think it's better to be safe than the penalty, the per day penalty of being out of compliance is astronomical.
Substantial, right? Yeah. Director Fowler, do you have other comment, questions? Okay.
You can,
Okay.
you don't want
well,
to
we
say
have-
more about the totalitarian government?
No. I think do we have any public comment on this item?
Resist. I like your suggestion. I mean, that was one of them I was going to suggest is finding a used vehicle that meets this criteria and just park it. That's brilliant. The other thing that came up for me just first listening to this and rural areas is I understand the state is mandating this, but it's really common that these vehicles catch on fire, or it's relatively common these catch on fire. So it seems to me that
Only the test.
there might
The Jeep also.
Teasing.
Yeah.
there might be an opportunity getting hold of Consolidated Fire and see if they would be willing to write a letter or something that says, we're not in a position to put truck fires out up at Spalding Lake or Bowman Lake or wherever you guys plan on driving this vehicle. And I think that would hold, I would hope would hold some water that they can't even put the fire out. Suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're in a good point because we're in a high fire, extreme fire category, and we're putting out a untried science. I mean, I just don't have a lot of faith in the newest first truck out. I don't think they have it down yet.
With that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number, I'm missing.
No. it's not.
3D.
3D, 2025 Fund 15 budget amendment to purchase a new replacement truck, pickup trucks. Of new replacement pickup trucks, excuse me.
Thank you. We have a
Second.
motion, second? Okay, second by Director Fowler. Roll call, please.
Division 5,
I'm going to vote yes to support the management because you guys know what we need to do.
Under duress.
Yeah, and
Put that in the minutes.
I concur.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll move on to general orders. The first is item 4A, LAFCo, or the Local Agency Formation Commission, the election and ballot. In reading over this, Jennifer, are we taking just a vote as to what the board's recommendation of one of these two candidates?
Correct. So LAFCo requires an official ballot to be issued from our agency and all the other special districts.
Mhm.
So there are two candidates, the esteemed Mr. Rich
Mhm.
Johansson
Mhm.
from Nevada Irrigation District. And the second one is Patricia Nelson. So we are asking, my recommendation is firmly to vote for Rich. And I think he's a great representative of our district on LAFCO. And that's pretty much it, because Ricky, as the alternative, there was only one alternative application submitted, so you're automatically in.
I'm automatically there, right.
congratulations, Rich.
Well, thank you. I'll just take this quickly for the other board members who may not be real familiar with LAFCO. This is a really important planning agency, a regional planning agency. And Rich and I served together over the last 4 years, and I can't imagine someone better suited, more qualified to do it than Director Johansson. So I would strongly recommend that we elect, or recommend the vote, I guess, is
Yes.
the process. Yeah.
Approve.
Director Johansson.
approve casting the vote for Director
Thank you.
Johansson.
Thank you very much. Okay. Other questions or comments? No? Okay. Is there any public comment about this? Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion?
I move we vote for Rich Johansson for LAFCo as a regular district member.
I second it.
We have motion and second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Division 5?
Yes.
Good, that's good. Division
You always
4?
vote for yourself.
Division 3?
Aye.
Division 1?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, Rich. I hope that you, everybody else votes for you.
When do we find out, Rich?
Not till the end of April.
End of April,
25th?
Yeah.
couple months.
Okay, the item 4B, budget to actual reports. Receive and file. Sandra, are you going to take this item?
Yeah, I'll kick it off and turn it over to Sandra. So this
Okay.
is the budget to actual and quarterly financials for fiscal year 2024 quarter 4. But as always, this is our reminder that these are unaudited financials. So after fiscal year ends, we do many adjustments that are related to end of the year reconciliations for a variety of reasons. I also wanted to thank Sandra and her team. They're doing an amazing job. Not only are they on target with the audit, on target with getting the budget going, but they're also rocking it through the Tyler ERP implementation. So kudos to
done.
that team. Yeah,
It's end of March and normally it'd be June or July.
right.
September.
It's
Yeah.
such a
Fantastic.
better feeling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Sandra,
go.
do you want to go through the main points of the financials? Yep.
Good morning, Board. Sandra
Good
Dunlap,
morning.
Director of Finance. Yeah, as Jen stated, so these are unaudited. We're still closing out last year. I noted a lot of the details in the staff report, but we'll just touch on some of the bigger variances so far. And as we mentioned, the auditors will be on site the first week in May, so May 5th through the 9th. So we will wrap it up then and hopefully have you guys a final package in June. So that's exciting. Very similar to last year, though. We were pretty much on the same path as last year. So, and again, it's important to wrap that audit up as we kick off the new budget. So we do final numbers going into that next budget year. So I'm just going to look at the high level summaries that we key in and put together. I'm not going to go through all 75 detailed pages. Some of the bigger items at year end so far for the revenues are the capacity fees. You see we're at year end here is 85%. Again, that one's always just an estimate. So that's normal. Recreation fund. So we know we had some recreation issues this year, so they're a little bit behind. Not due to Monica's great work, because we know that's not why. Other than that, the revenues are pretty much in line. Hydro's over a little bit due to, the market and the power energy stuff. And then the second box down below is the transfers. And so as you know, we create a transfer schedule each year during the budget, and we transfer between the funds to pay for capital and to contribute to the internal services fund. So that is for the revenue side. That next summary tab there is going to be jumping into the expenses and the transfers out. So really the big differences here, why we're lower on expenses, is really due to Fund 15, the water capital, and 55, the hydro capital. Again, as you know, we budget to do so many CIPs each year, and we don't always get to them for numerous reasons. So both of those are coming in, 76% of budget and 69%. And again, the next board meeting, we will actually bringing like a reconciliation from last year and rolling some of those CIPs that need to come forward to 25. So we'll see that.
Just a quick question on hydro. Last year revenues were up. California is still importing 50% of its energy. Do we expect hydro revenue to be up again this year?
It's always hard to tell. Our revenue associated with our master PPA is based off of availability, so it's not super
Well,
influenced, by the electrical market. It'd be likely up a little bit maybe, but I wouldn't say a ton.
To piggyback on Rich's question, and I was going to ask this a little bit later, can we get and this is not specifically to you, but since since you mentioned hydro revenues, can we get a breakdown of hydro revenue by facility? Is that,
We have that. So we also have an entire presentation that was completed before that shows the financials for each powerhouse. So I'll also send you that.
outstanding? Thank you.
Yeah, and there's an annual reporting every March to report the annual revenues
that also?
by powerhouse.
Sure.
So we have.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay, and then, so that's kind of on the expense side there, and then also Fund 70, you can see for the expenses, we budgeted about 17 million. It's about 14 million, so just a reminder that when we budget for the internal services fund, the other funds transfer in the money, and then at year end, we do a reconciliation, and if it is below what we originally budgeted, we will do another reconciliation, and we will give the funds back to each fund. 30, 50, 10. So that'll be reconciled at year end. And then we have the transfers out. So the transfers out, again, they're at 100% because we strategically map those out and book them that way. So everything is good there. That's kind of it for the high level differences. As Jen mentioned, we're still going through the audit, so we still have to finish capital assets, booking our OPEB, other post-employment benefits, our pension. There's a new GASB implementation this year. It's GASB 101, compensated absences. So that will be fun.
Say that again, compensated absences?
Compensated absences. So the good news is we've already had a call with the auditors to
Mhm.
review our findings. And thank you to the controller, Catherine. She did a ton of research, and we had that call with the auditors, and we actually don't have to change because we're already doing a great job.
I thought so. I
Yeah,
thought so. I didn't think
basically
that
all
that new
that-
regulation really had a much of an
It
impact here,
doesn't,
'cause you guys are
it
so
could
great.
have on the, there's a category called like an other bucket, which
Mhm.
bereavement goes into, military leave, administrative leave. And so our materiality, we don't meet that. So we don't have to do that additional work. But basically what compensated absences is taking our accruals at the end of the year, sick, vacation, and those other
Mhm.
random ones, and putting it on the books as a liability. So we already do that because per our MOU and everything, employees do get 50% of their sick leave. So we already know that, we book it. So we're ahead of the
Remember
game.
that you did. That's a
there's no
great
change.
job.
Yay.
Yes, yay.
Those are always fun. So yeah, so that's pretty much everything new. And any questions on anything else in the packet?
Any questions?
Just one
Go
question.
ahead.
50% of anything over 40 hours or over 80 hours, or how does that work?
So sick, there is currently no cap on that bucket.
Okay.
So if, you leave, you retire, something like that, you get 50% of your bucket, your accrual bucket. There is a cap on vacation, that's 350 hours.
Okay. Any other comment or questions?
Not at this time.
Not at this
Another, thank you.
Yeah, no kidding. A very big thank you. Okay, is there any public comment on our budget to actuals report? Seeing none. Thank you, Sandra. Next item is item 4C, the 2025 budget amendment for the master plan project.
Madam Chair, we customarily have a receive and file,
Oh, do we vote on a receive and file?
motion to receive.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
So move.
Second,
okay, move in second.
That was so easy.
Yes.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
yes.
Division 3.
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now we shall move on. Thank you.
Okay, are we on
4C, 4C? Yes, sir.
okay, I'll go ahead and take this one. Board, good morning, members of the public, staff. I'm Greg Jones, Assistant General Manager. This item is to have a budget amendment for this year's development and finalization of the IT/OT master plan. I have a short presentation that I'd like to give and go through it for some of you that were not here when this plan was put forth and started. Back in April, just about a year ago, 2024, the board authorized a development of the information technology / operations technology master plan. And as we start developing large-scale master plans for the district, and in our strategic plan, as a matter of fact, a deep dive and analysis of our information technology and sort of development of our IT systems in cooperation with our OT systems was identified as a real weakness within the district. And so it is these two operational technologies and information technology run this place. Our personnel run it. And so we do need a very solid background and foundation. And this was the beginning of it. So in April of 2024, NID hired HDR. A couple HDR staff are on the phone. If we have some technical questions that either myself or John, I'm sorry, we've got John Ortiz, Information Technology Administrator, here with us today. So we will kind of go through this. I've got a short presentation, and then we'll move into questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you.
So what is the ITOT master plan? For those of you who were not here last year when we did develop this, it really is intended to serve as a roadmap for the district, addressing short, mid, and long-term opportunities,
That was me. There you go.
improving our internal services while balancing the demands of emerging technologies and our available resources. It's intended to be tailored to NID. There are districts and organizations who've developed ITOT master plans in the past. This is not a new endeavor. As a matter of fact, HDR is one of the leading consulting organizations in our region and in the state, for that matter, the nation, who have done this type of work. So we're fortunate and thankful to have them on board and their expertise. They're working hand in hand with John and our staff as we develop and move forward. So let's see. So we did approve on April 10th of 2024. We haven't got to April 10th, 2025 yet. Scope of services at that time were three-pronged. One was task one, and that was to understand who we are. They took a deep dive. They interviewed a number of staff members at every department, trying to take an inner working of how our systems interact and what they are, and our staffing expertise and our capacities in order to manage, operate, and develop just our existing infrastructure and our existing conditions. And that was developed into a technical memorandum that was given to us and delivered at the 1st of February. It has been revised. Staff made some comments, and so we've gone back and forth, and we're nearing the completion of that final technical memorandum at the moment. They are moving on to task 2 now, which is finalizing recommendations for improvement to our systems, and that interaction between the two, IT, OT, finally is the full-scale development of the IT, OT master plan. That's going to be a larger document. So back again to the deliverables, the report, which is what we're calling a technical memorandum on our existing infrastructure, environment, conditions, and staffing resources. We have that on our desks right now. Next is going to be this needs assessment and recommendations for improvement. So they're going to see what we are, and then they're going to go out and understand us to sort of best practices throughout the state and kind of similar organizations and agencies such as NID. Then we're going to develop a short, mid, and long-term plan, future improvements, operational efficiencies, capacity needs, budget, and a staffing resources, and sort of how we want to go and grow, develop, and be redundant in all of our forms, IT and OT, for the district. That'll culminate with a board presentation to you here somewhere in the year 20,254.
Right.
The ways out.
We got a little bit of time. We build in
A little bit of
window
cushion there, yeah.
The technical memorandum, little overview, we've developed, and they've developed this North Star for us, sort of a vision statement of what this plan is, to help all staff get behind it, to help the board get behind it, to sort of culminate what it is that we're trying to do. So HDR helped us with this vision statement, and again, still it's draft vision, but I'll just read it because I think it's quite interesting. The ITOT master plan describes a comprehensive future forward ITOT network system. architecture that provides utility contributors with situational data required to be a steward of our constituents' investments and to continue to safely serve the public interest. So broad, high level.
Kind of a word salad, sort of.
It is, it is, it is. But if you parse it out, it's very technical in nature, yet it feeds into our overall district strategic plan and our long-term visions. And it's not to be, oh yeah, do you have something?
Can we just say, keep it safe and secure?
Yeah, right.
We sure can. We can, that's why I said.
That's got to be one of our visions. To keep
Absolutely.
it safe and secure.
Safe and secure.
I do have a simple question. What is a utility contributors?
You could use the term customers,
Okay.
stakeholders,
What were your work?
community.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Yeah. This is,
It's a
but
little-
it's ongoing. It's a good
it's the
start.
draft.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
There's a word draft in front
goal
of
will
us.
be to cut 40%.
We serve and protect.
Last slide, just some of the findings of the technical memorandum. You can see on the left is, this is just, again, looking at our system as it is currently. We have 73 software applications. Is that correct, John?
Yep.
That our IT department oversees, manages, and administers. 73 individual applications that help run this organization
Wow.
on the back end. That is a whole lot.
And they're all working together?
No,
Best
they
they
don't.
can.
Not yet.
Best they can.
And you can see the different numbers for in the operations department, the finance department, the business management, customer service. So there is a whole breadth of different applications. Some, yes, work okay together. Some,
Some take some handholding, but we get them all integrated and they're working as they should.
Simple question, I hope. What's the platform for all of them? Are they all the same platform as like Microsoft, or do we have Lotus, or do we have Unix, or are they all the same platform?
So this is, 20 years of added software that's came into our environment. So right now we're working on trying to flatten that out with Microsoft and Tyler and trying to get some of those eliminated and make it easier for us.
Didn't sound easy. That's why I was curious. It's more
The-
complicated, more platforms you're on.
the ERP system, for instance, I believe we identify and will remove 16 applications just with the ERP system alone. Right. So this is the goal, to really try to simplify, make efficient, make better. The intent is not to go through all of this, but the OT water network, water and hydroelectric network, they took a look at a number of different elements of each one of those, and they went through, everything from SCADA system design, full diagrams for us to help identify where the nodes meet and touch and interact. They looked at our control and central operating systems, all our fiber optic networks, our remote telemetry networks, human machine interface and workstations, detection systems, firewalls, backups, hardware refresh, staffing capacity and redundancies, tools and technology. So it is a very broad-based look at the district. It's quite impressive and condensed for everything that we do in one technical memorandum. So it's helping us now move to the next stage. The next stage is task 2. Within task 2, and I should back up just a second, in October, we brought forth not only these 3 tasks, which are the main elements of the master plan, but HDR identified 7 different options for us to think about. At the time, we did not go forth with those 7 options because it was identified at the board that we wanted to first get into who we are, this technical memorandum task 1, and then identify to see if we really want to engage in these other 7 options that were an additional cost to the district. So we stopped. We only contracted for task 1, 2, and 3. Today is the day that we're looking to go back, and since we finished task 1, staff and HDR have been going back and forth, and we've revised, and now we're looking at these additional options. And so here's another high-level overview of what these options are after task 1 has been reassessed. or has been completed, and now we're reassessing the options. Option task number one, we've completely removed it. We determined that, when I mean we mean staff and HDR took a look at them and said, we don't need that particular option. We've already covered everything that we would have covered in that original option. Remember, those options were developed from HDR prior to even, they were just responding to our request for proposal. So it was a standard sort of, hey, these are the other things that other organizations have done that we think you'll be interested in. Options 2 and 6 have been combined. And this is really the mapping of the OT network for unknown device identification and verification. It's a vulnerability assessment within our systems. Task 3 has been revised to critical disaster recovery and continuity of operations. Data retrieval of our ICS and OT assets. ICS is
Industry.
That was internal.
internal control
Thank you.
systems.
Thank you.
Yes, that was it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you asked that yesterday. Internal control systems. They're going to help us create an internal framework outlining programming, naming conventions, storage locations, retrieval. So if there was a disaster, we have a better way and a more effective way and efficient way to retrieve our assets and all of our systems than we do currently now. Most organizations, from what we're understanding from our consultant, is that this is something that a lot of organizations do not even have. And so we're going to step it up, and we would like to move forward on this task as well.
What's the disaster?
For in our purposes, wildfire.
And that burns up all the computers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Complete loss of system. So you want some redundancy.
Hackers and
Hackers.
cyber
Hackers.
warfare.
Yeah,
That
cyber,
could be it.
We've had brushes with it before.
physical or cyber.
So the speed of computers doubles every 2 years. And with AI, guy I listened to says within months, no one's going to be safe. How
Thanks,
do
Rich.
we?
Yeah, thank you. We can sleep
How
at
do we
night now.
pre-
Thank
how
you.
do we prepare for that? Is this going to help us harden our whole system? And obviously it is, but I mean,
There's a couple approaches to that. One, you want to be proactive and have your security
Right.
in place. Then the second approach is disaster recovery. If something does actually happen, you have a backup plan. And the disaster recovery plan is your backup plan.
exactly.
And when you have another environment, then you can switch over to that.
And it gets us right back online.
Yes.
Yeah, we
In a
within
reasonable-
reason.
In a reasonable time,
In a
yes.
reasonable timeframe.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's critical.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking not only SCADA information systems to look at our water treatment plants and hydroelectric facilities, but also our customer data, our customer information, all of those files.
In Pacific Palisades, a Bank of America burnt down. Think of all the records.
They're all electronic for the
Gone.
most part.
They're probably all stored off site though.
Yeah, but the safety deposit boxes aren't. They're burnt. And we have to look at it. We're safety deposit box. That's what we do here.
So that's really task 3, is to really help us identify a framework for that new process. There will be more that I think this is just a start of a framework, but task 3 is going to get us going down the road on that. Task 4 is review our existing control systems for alignment with security in our OT systems, and they're going to have sort of help us with a recommended equipment list, that sort of item. And then finally, task 5 is the evaluation of our HMI data historian, which if you have specific questions about that, John will answer, for alignment with our overall security posture again. So a lot has to do with security of our systems. The one that's not on here is just a board presentation. Here it is. So some of the prices were revised based on our original proposal over a year ago. So you can see that the original proposal, if we went forward in 2024 with the 7 options, it would have been an additional $156,000 to the contract with HDR. After the revision and the modification, a second look at these options as they know now our systems specifically, there was just a reshuffle and analysis. So it's about another $16,000 greater than it was in 2024 in the proposal. However, I think that we do have a better a better options analysis and have a deeper and more robust scope than we would have.
We know what we need. Yeah,
There's more information.
Yeah.
And
everything.
that's it.
Thank you. Questions?
I'm not sure.
I want to reiterate, we do have Randy from HDR and a couple other technical staff on the line. If we had a very specific question regarding any of these options and any of the specifics to it, I'm sure they can answer, or John is.
Director Fowler, you have any?
I have a question and or comment. It's surprising to me that there's not an over-the-counter or a off-the-shelf package. And I understand the complexities of different agencies, but certainly there are other agencies that have software programs that have the same level of complexities or even more complexities. And I wonder if this is just something that we run into in the public sector, if we're in the private sector, if there's a more efficient, faster way to do that. It's just surprising to me that we can't buy something over the shelf or off the shelf. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
There's no market for it except for us.
but there's other agencies that have near identical or similar complexities that have done this. It seems like we've contracted with this company to reinvent the wheel, and maybe every time they contract with an agency or a business, they have to reinvent the wheel. But
I think what
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think with maybe what we weren't explaining very well, and you don't have the experience of listening to this last time, is that one of the issues that agencies, like all agencies, run into when you're a utility agency and you run different utilities, you have a variety of different on-site systems, financial systems, regular servers, office applications that us normal people use. Then you have this higher level of stuff, GIS and AutoCAD. And then you have even a higher level of stuff, and that operates powerhouses, all of the treatment plants. And so there isn't really an ability to have a off the shelf comprehensive system that plugs in, because every utility is completely different. Some run sewer, some don't have hydropower, some are retail electrical providers. So I think
So
although
each one has to be custom tailored
Yeah.
to the agency.
yes, and so we even collect flow data, weather data, all those things have to kind of feed in. And so the purpose of this is to say, okay, how can we have more synergy between all of those systems? And then what is the investments that are needed to ensure our systems are secure, and then to ensure we can leverage technology moving into the future. Before, things are just bought off this random one-off and it was all scabbed together, which is also very normal, but we need to kind of grow up at this point.
So this is going to increase efficiencies and it's going to save us money in the future.
Yes. And it will lay out a plan for the board and the public to understand is, okay, these are the investments we plan to make over the next 10 years. Whereas before we were more operating like, oh my gosh, the major server is about to die and we better go buy one today or we're going to lose all this data. You know, it was very reactive.
Well, and in addition to that, the information, the IT department and our systems over the years, there's a reason why there's 73 plus and all sorts of back end kind of, what do we call them?
Custom applications.
Shadow
We have a lot of
shadow data points that are really unique to the way that we operate. And yeah, there's, other organizations, sister organizations of ours that are doing very similar things. They've got hydropower, they've got water delivery systems, but they might not be using the same PLC. They might not be using the same switches. They might not be using that same OT system. And then in addition to these two operational systems have to work together, and having a plan where they're going to function together and having that long-term vision is really what our staff, I think, has been craving for a long time. And we just haven't put that effort towards it.
Yeah, and I think to put it in also perspective, so we have 4 full-time IT folks, and we rely on some contractor support. And how many does PCWA have? I hate to even say
They have 18 on their
They have 18.
18.
18.
And they have, I think that that's not necessary, that level. But what is necessary is that we have a very thoughtful investment plan. So we are not continuing to have inefficient systems that we can't leverage off of each other.
What's the lifespan of this product? You know, to Rich's 2 years, everything.
Changes.
We're all dead.
So this will lay out specifically like a master.
And also product support.
Right, this is a master plan. This isn't a, we're going to purchase contraption A that's gonna fix all of our issues. This is a master plan that says, okay, these are the fundamental changes we should start making over the next 10 years. Whether it's hiring a specific expertise, locating areas of weakness in our security, we should switch to all this type of server. We should switch to all this same type of PLCs in the future, so we don't have this hodgepodge. So this is more of a plan that will lay out how we are going to propose to move forward over the next 10 years to leverage upcoming technology, but also to make investments.
I mean, this is going to increase our productivity.
Yeah.
It's going to save us money down the road. It's going to make our data and our operations more secure and
Mhm.
safe, and we're going to be able to serve the customer better.
It's just a systematic way to move through the next 10 years and make the investment, IT investments.
And it's not intended to just be sitting on a shelf.
No.
So
We're
the
going to
original-
actively use it.
The original contract's 400,000 and we're adding 173,000. But we're not buying anything. We're buying a plan.
What we've
Not buying a thing.
No, the original,
we bought the
We've
security audit,
bought-
we've bought the staff audit, we've bought the equipment audit, we've
You're-
bought, and now we're buying the master
Paying
plan.
for the consulting.
Yeah.
the original was 231.
Okay.
No.
The total contract when we originally came
Oh,
was
I see.
around $400,000. Due to some feedback we received from the board, we decided to bifurcate the contract
Right.
and move forward with the phase 1 contract, knowing we were gonna come back to the board with this.
So the
phase
400
2.
is the all in.
Correct.
Yeah, I remember that.
It sounds like this is a, there's a high level and a low level, or in the weeds issue here, but do we know that everything we need is included in this plan? Is there, or, because is that what's already been done, is they've already gone through and says, this is exactly what you need? Yeah, that's why it's in 2
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah, and
That was task 1.
Okay.
Who are you? How do you operate NID? That's this technical memo that we just received. And now it's, what are some recommendations that we think you can move into? And then it's the plan that is putting the who you are together, plus where should we move into? And then that's the 3 to 5 year, 10-year plan itself.
My question in the weeds now is is HDR going to also verify that all these 72 or 73, 72 apps or whatever it is, don't have back doors or security breaches? And when they come together, they don't open up another issue, or, you know what I'm saying? Is that also part of this plan?
Task, let's see here, one of these
I think it's
is
option
to look
three.
at the network security, not at the application level, but at the, inside the network, at the firewalls. The devices or network devices, that's gonna look at the security, not at the application
Our
level.
staff is already doing those.
that's what the
pin-
firewalls are for.
That's what those
Block
pin
it coming
pin
from the
tests.
Yeah, that's all. Okay.
We do those daily.
Right, we have security inside of our network that manages that.
I'm just concerned that with so many applications, if one of them's got a back door, that we might have an issue. So I just,
1 or 10.
so if we're
Well,
looking.
think of the applications are around a surrounded fence. We a perimeter, we monitor the perimeter. So what happens inside of our network is okay, but once something gets in our perimeter, then that's when we.
So when we're
engage.
using, we have security systems that run, that if we start using an application in an unknown way, it's going to flag it.
It will ping us right
And it can
away.
shut it down. It can be, it's something as simple as plugging in an external device, we get flagged, or it could be something is being used in a way and the security sniffer, it says, wait a second, you've never used it that way before.
We had one cyber event 4 years ago.
It was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. And honestly, that event was part of driving
Right.
this
I
idea.
remember that.
And it cost us a lot of money. We brought in our insurance. There was a lot of forensics that were done on.
FBI was involved.
And there were a lot of recommendations at that time that we have adopted and implemented since then. And this is now just sort of in that process of now let's look. We've built the house back up and now we're okay. The perimeter fence is fine, but now it's about how do we grow? Because we know that we're only going to grow. We know that IT and OT systems are only going to get more advanced as every year goes by, to your point, Rich. But how do we do it in a methodical and systematic fashion that we're doing it strategically without just, oh, let's add a new server on tomorrow because this one's about to die, and which is where we've lived here for a long time.
I know you guys have heard me say many, many times, I'm very concerned about terrorism, domestic terrorism, having a kid drive a vehicle off and hit a pole and take us down. So I'm looking at every ways to harden our.
Mhm.
And I just know that in my district email, I'm getting 1 to 2 a week saying if an illegal fishing
Mhm.
episode has happened and stuff like that. So I know we're on top of a lot of stuff. I'm just asking for assurances and if maybe get some discussion going to make sure it's there.
Well, they're on it.
Good.
So how many flags do you get a day?
We get several, hundreds,
I bet.
probably. I mean, we receive 80,000 pieces of email a week. So it's a lot.
I have,
Yeah.
are you finished? I have a couple.
I just quickly, that episode was painful and costly, and this is not a lot of money to never have to go through that again.
Well, and you also have to think about it from the perspective of when you're, for example, when we're going to expand a treated water facility or do systematic replacement, we come up with a master plan to do that. So we efficiently design, spend our money and construct.
Yep.
This is the same thing. So we want to efficiently move into the future rather than this crazy hodgepodge and things aren't talking. So we have to do these backdoor applications that translate the data through, and it's a little bit mess.
More vulnerability, actually.
It is much more.
Can I
I
add
have,
what
couple-
Jennifer said, though? It's time for us to grow up. She said that.
Yeah.
So
time for
other
us to-
agencies have, I'm sure, have done this,
Yes,
to
I'm sure.
integrate the networks together. So
So I have a couple questions, John. So when you talked about those 73 applications and part of this was to reduce that number, do you have any idea or what is our goal for reducing from 73 to what? Or
I don't think we're prepared to answer.
we're not prepared to answer? Okay, but part of the goal is to reduce that number?
yeah, implementing Tyler will reduce a lot of that, probably a third of that.
Okay, wonderful. And then I didn't see anything in the staff report and I'm curious, is there going to have to be some FTEs added?
Potentially, that's what the plan will lay out is people investments as well, whether that's training, we need additional people. As one of the board members acknowledged that, technology is changing very quickly.
Mhm.
So we may want to invest in expertise and technical knowledge on staff that we don't currently have.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because when you talked about PCWA has 18 folks, and not that I'm suggesting
Mhm.
that we build up to that level necessarily, whatever's right is what's right. But it seems that there will be additional staff required in order to,
I would say that that's likely.
do you think it's likely? Okay. And do you agree, John? Are
I
you-
agree. I think there's going to be they're going to identify roles and responsibilities
Yeah.
and make sure that we have the staff that can take on those roles.
Okay, thank you. That's my question. Anyone else got questions or comments? Nope.
I actually am confused. If we're adding, I just became so. If we're adding staff, isn't that the opposite of increasing efficiencies?
So it's efficiencies with data use. There also could be additional efficiencies with being able to harvest data more through artificial intelligence and in managing and operating the powerhouses that then go into the canal systems. To go into that realm, we likely will have to have additional expertise, whether that's consultant support or internal support.
Is there any public comment about
But
this?
knowing Jennifer, there's going to be savings on the other end.
Yeah, there usually is.
Go and make eye contact with me.
And it's a phased, the idea of these are phased approaches.
Right.
I mean, this isn't something that's gonna happen, next year, right away, we're gonna have 7 new FTE. requests.
Mhm.
No.
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Public comment?
Again, when this presentation was originally presented to the board, you guys, the board, it came with a long list of high recommendations. And I'm just wondering if it makes sense at this point to go back and check those recommendations to see if those public entities are still happy with this, this company. But if I remember right, there were several other public water districts that were using the same company to put this together for them.
I don't believe that's necessary at this time. We're in the middle of the project now and they've been performing great. It's a company that we do a lot of work with. We're not going to go back out to contract, so I don't know why.
I think what you're referring to are references,
The references, yes, thank
not
you.
recommendations.
Yes, references, sorry, I
And
meant
the,
sorry,
the
that's-
request was, yes, to go back to the references.
to go back to the references and see how they're doing,
Yeah.
if they're still happy with the company, or to see if there's something that they would do different or how they would do it different with you guys moving forward. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for reading.
We
my mind.
have reached out to those references.
Great.
And we, by all accounts, we have found that the work that HDR's done throughout this process at other facilities and other organizations is by far well and good.
And I think that would satisfy satisfy the new board that,
Yeah.
that this company has, you guys continually have gone back and make sure that they're happy. Thank you.
We have not been continuing.
We cannot continue.
Not go-
Well, I meant,
We checked
Even
with them
once.
we checked with them when the board asked us to
Yeah.
Mhm.
follow up with references.
Right.
And the answer is yes.
thank you.
We did do reference checks.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
Right.
and It's in front of us.
Okay. Any other further comment or questions from the board?
Now, I'd like to make a resolution, though.
Okay,
Motion.
a motion would be great.
Move to adopt resolution number 2025-23.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Call the roll, please.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3.
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
John.
Great work.
Yeah.
Keep those bad actors out of here. All right, next item, 4D, authorizing the removal of Board Policy Series 2000 from the Board Policy Manual and adopt NID personnel policy.
So I can pick this back up as well.
Thank you.
We don't have a presentation for this. However, I'll just start. We've got Naomi Schmidt, Director of Human Resources, and I have been working quite a bit with our legal counsel at LCW as well as with the union over the last, near and over about 18 months to revise and rework our personnel policies. And we kicked into that soon after the last MOU was adopted
Mhm.
by the board. It was a daunting document. And about 29 different board policies reflected in a number of, over the years, inconsistencies with the way that we operate from an administrative personnel side to a series of MOUs that have been adopted over the years. And so the idea was to bring personnel policies up to date, number one, with existing federal, state, and employment law. So we had a very solid foundation working with LCW on that, and working hand in hand with our union representatives on updating these policies. And so we spent a number of times, nearly 18 months, developing the most recent changes to the board policy, putting it in one document, and having it available for all of staff so that we don't have conflicting issues as we move forward with personnel rules and personnel issues. So the idea was to have it in one location. It provides a lot of clarity for not only staff, but our administrative staff in consistency and effectiveness of our administration. So the page number 3 of the staff report is the list of policy numbers. So that's board policy section 2000 and what we're doing with it, when it was revised, and where it's going to go in the board rules and revisions, board personnel rules. And so I'm not going to go into every single item, but that is sort of what we, do you want to say anything else? Okay. Jennifer, do you want to say anything?
No, I think this will also add efficiencies and provide clarification with existing policies and employment contracts, although there's like a tiered legal importance with contracts and policies. This will make it easier to administrate them. So if you have any questions, a lot of these are the same as what the policy was. It's just basically wrapped up into a document now.
And a lot of it is updated with existing legal.
There's always new
policies,
labor
new
laws
laws.
that come into effect
Yeah.
every year.
And the union supports it.
Yeah, the union, this is, anytime that you are have the potential to change working conditions of your employees, we are required to go through a meet and confer process with the union. And Greg and Naomi did just a wonderful job with coordinating with the union. They reviewed it section by section. So huge thank you to Carl Cookson, who is the current union representative. And I think it's a great document. From time to time, it may require modification, but I think this is excellent and really appreciate Naomi and Greg taking this on. It was a huge, heavy lift. They spent hours upon hours in the conference room going line by line by line. So we appreciate them taking that on for us. And Greg will stop twitching, hopefully, if this is.
Wonderful. Questions, comments?
No. Overdue.
Yeah, it is overdue. It was
It's a
overdue.
nice cleanup, so we
I
are
know.
very happy about having this little.
I really
section
appreciate
of
it.
our world
It was
cleaned up.
crazy to go back, flip back and forth.
Oh, it's-
between the two
yeah.
Things. It was very
It was a bit of a,
burdensome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very burdensome.
You had fun doing that?
Oh, yeah. I did do it. Okay. No comments from the board? Comment from public? I don't see any public comment. Okay, we're ready for a motion on item 4D.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for a motion.
All right. I'm going to move that we authorize removal of Board Policy Series 2000 from the Board Policy Manual and adopt NID personnel policy.
And would you include in that, adopt the resolution 2025-24?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes, thank you so much. Nice work, Naomi and Greg, but I know that
very
it
good
was a
job.
big, heavy lift. Yeah.
It was a huge, heavy lift.
Okay, item 4E, contract change order and budget amendment for the Maben Canal, Phase 4, project number 8099-4.
So I'll handle this one as the board knows, and I do apologize in advance. This was a last minute amendment to the agenda. We were just completing the Maben Canal project, and in order to make the interconnection to the existing pipe, we did a pressure test once the connection was made, and the pressure test indicated there were about 5 leaks. The contractor is still out on site and has not demobilized, so we are coming to the board for a request for an amendment to the construction contract to allow for replacement of 50 feet of the pipe to address that leaking section. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to use our brand new project.
Right. Not good. Questions from the board? I know we're
What, 30 years?
life.
Been working on Maben? Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah, Maben Canal did have a moratorium due to some capacity issues on the canal, so this will alleviate some of those capacity concerns as well.
So increased capacity, this will increase the capacity by how much? Is there a number?
I don't know.
But there's a waiting list of people. And how's that going to be worked out? I mean, that's probably not
First come, first serve, correct?
first come, first serve on the waiting list or? Okay,
Basically, anyone who has signed up over the last 25 years, we have reached out to them with the previous upgrades. We were able to get everyone up to this point, additional waters, but there's a few customers at the very end who now will benefit from this last section.
That's great.
nice.
And
Now
we
they-
did design the pipe, engineering, I should say, designed the pipe for the master plan Q flow for the next 50 years.
So given this year is not a surplus year with PG&E problems, they will not be able to sign up for this year, but when that gets resolved, they will.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Boy, 17 grand, not much to finish
It
this.
sure
project.
isn't, I know. Is there a
Good job.
comment or other questions from the board? No. Is there public comment on this item? Seeing none, entertain a motion, please.
Move to approve resolution 2025-25 to fund to approval of 2025 Fund 15 Water Capital Budget Amendment, increase funds for project number 8099-4 and change orders on the Maben Canal.
Thank you. We have a motion.
At all.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's seconded by Director Stevens. Call the roll, please.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. All right, this brings us to the general manager's report.
All right.
All waiting with bated breath.
I'm gonna
New.
start with the good news.
Oh, boy. You mean that means there's bad news?
But there's some unfun topics
Okay.
that we commonly touch. So, we have our new director of engineering starting on Monday, and his name
Whoa.
is Gabe Arano. And he's currently a consultant at Stantec, which is a longtime, highly thought of consulting firm that NID has even had a past relationship with. I've known Gabe for probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 years now. He is going to be wonderful for the district. He's a sound engineering mind. He's also a great human being. So we are going to be really excited to have him. And he's really good at thinking outside of the box. So
Great.
he's going to be good. Although it's always difficult to fill the shoes of Mr. Roderick, I think Gabe will do the best he can. And I think that's going to be great.
And we will meet him next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
great.
Oh,
That was quick. Well done.
Yeah. And then we are also going to be sending out, just so the board is aware, we are sending out a conservation letter to all customers related to the PG&E issue. So if you do hear back from your constituents, we'll also email you a copy. So it's going to be the normal letter. And I don't have a PG&E update. We haven't heard any additional information related to the intake tower. They are relatively on schedule with the repairs of Horn B. So if anything, if that changes, we'll provide a more thorough update if we receive additional details. And then lastly, I did want to mention that as the board is aware, and I'm not sure if the new directors might be up to speed on this, we are filing for a conduit exemption for the Deer Creek Powerhouse from FERC. Essentially what that means is instead of having a full license, it would have an exemption. So it would still, the powerhouse itself would still have FERC oversight, but I want to have that comprehensive license to operate the facility that requires all of the
The
other
4E conditions.
all of those things.
Mhm.
So when we acquired the project from PG&E, that project, Deer Creek Powerhouse and the associated South Yuba Canal, were originally part of PG&E's larger Yuba Bear
Mhm.
license. Before they sold it to us, PG&E pulled those apart and isolated Deer Creek out. So if we were not to receive the exemption, we would have to still go through relicensing just for Deer Creek. The FERC regulations allow for an exemption process if your powerhouse is of a certain size, which this is. And so we will be sending out an initial notice to a number of nonprofit NGOs. A lot of the regulatory agencies already know. So you may hear about our communication that we're sending out. And what it does is it just allows all these folks that would be considered stakeholders underneath the federal process an opportunity to provide input in on what we're proposing. But this would be a very good thing for NID. It would reduce our costs greatly, also reduce our future regulatory burden, and just reduce our kind of day-to-day requirements under FERC.
Wonderful. Great idea.
Wonderful. Yeah, we're excited about it. Hopefully it's successful.
Do you anticipate pushback?
Yes.
There's always pushback. Everything we do, there's.
Wow.
I think that anytime that you are, I think some people find comfort in regulations.
Yeah.
And layers and layers of regulations. However, I can assure you, we're still going to operate the system the same. So from my perspective, I don't think that there's any
I was gonna say,
environmental
what-
risk associated.
What would be the changes? You know, if you could give us an example of how
None.
it's operated now or under FERC?
The ability to not maybe place conditions that aren't exactly related to operating of the system onto the,
Like campgrounds. Thank you.
Yeah, got it.
we'll continue to work through that.
Or a backbone.
But as far as daily operations and the immediate environment that's impacted by the facility, that won't change. We're still committed to being good stewards of the environment, operating the system safely and soundly.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity is, we're probably going to get a little better reception at FERC. Hopefully,
Yes, if anyone's there.
Yeah, if anyone's left in the
yeah,
office.
well, so, any updates on the Pet Hill Extension project?
I can speak with you regarding that offline. We are having difficulties with a particular property owner, so
Still?
that is, yes, being stalled.
It's been 2 years.
I know at some point we might need to move on from the project.
We're going to move on by going where our easement is.
That would be one option, but I think we should talk about this offline.
Yeah, this is not,
It's not on the agenda.
it's not on the agenda, and so we're sort of
I'm just
straying.
asking for a report.
I know.
I
Is
ask
that,
Doug every time, but he's
does
not
that-
here.
complete your,
The new
does
dog.
that complete your general manager's report?
It does.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to Board of Directors items and reports. So who wants to start, Brad or?
I can start.
Okay.
I was just curious on our status of storage options. If we looked at the Raising Rollins, how's that's coming, being independent, getting bypassing Spalding if we have to, and all that good stuff. Because I really want to make sure that we have ownership and control of our water and increase our capacity when we need to.
Right. We have little pieces moving forward, as I had discussed before, related to discussing different options with consultants and getting a scope of work. A little bit, we are stalled till we get a new engineering director on board. So we will kind of come up with a more comprehensive plan. But as I stated before, we're looking at raising Rollins. We're looking at a mini raise, a larger raise, removing sediment, keeping sediment out. So we have several different irons in the fire related to that. And then as far as bypass through Spalding, we have coordinated with PG&E a little bit on that, but we do need to kind of sit down and come up with a solid analysis.
Has run a dam study as to the integrity of Spalding Dam? I'm hearing-
Spalding's, that would be under PG&E's purview. I believe that through their Part 12D inspections, they would be required to have an analysis of the stability of the dam, but I'm not aware if what those results are or anything related to it.
Director Johansson, comment, questions, items of interest, public meetings, conferences, seminars, any of those fun things?
There's been quite a few, but no, it just, people are just concerned about, is this year going to be the same as last year?
It will be.
And and then outages, rotations, that type of thing.
Hopefully not, but it depends. on the
Exactly.
weather.
And there's no guarantees. So act accordingly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got rain coming in this week?
Yeah, we like
You
to
have rain coming
later
this week?
rains.
So rain dancing, Chip has been active apparently.
It helps.
Director Fowler.
I
Any
had
report?
I had the opportunity to speak to a lady about standby fees, and I've got I think a little bit better understanding of how all that works. And I would like to deepen my understanding of the standby fees. It sounds like it's a box maintenance, and anyways, and I believe it's holding a spot in line for
It
a
is.
box that's already there.
And she has always had the opportunity to remove her spot and not pay the $75. She
we-
just has not taken that.
We kind of went over that, and I suspect we'll be talking again. I'd love to do some more tours. I really appreciated the hydro tour we did a month or so ago, and I'd like the opportunity to check out the water treatment and maybe even upper division, lower division, just some general knowledge, like the new board member onboarding thing.
So we have a really good opportunity over the next few weeks to go up and see some work being done at the South Yuba Canal.
Oh,
So
that's
if
cool.
you
Oh, yeah,
raise your
get me
hands
in
on
on
who
that.
wants to go. Okay. We will get back to you with some dates. I had just reached out to Peter about it. I think it was late last week or early this week. So we're trying to find something cool to go look at, and then it might be a little bit quick turnaround. Like, can you go tomorrow?
Hmm.
So we'll be in touch.
You need snowshoes?
Hopefully not. I'm not a real cold weather person, so.
So the,
Because I have a dog, snow dog.
Are you done? You have other questions?
That's it. That's it.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the tour. Thank you. I love those tours.
Yeah.
Rich?
so the South Yuba Canal did not ice up during the snowstorm.
No, it was thankfully very hot.
Very good.
Any ice that was there, like was melted. We're all good on the South Yuba Canal.
Good.
And from my report, I'll tell you that I attended a very large, well-attended women's history event in which there were so many women electeds that came together. It was pretty fascinating. Everyone from, the sheriff and members of the Board of Supervisors and other electeds. It was a really wonderful event where we honored some young women who were deserving of being honored, and most especially in the Bright Futures for Youth group and so on. And so it was a great event. I too am getting an enormous amount of constituent concerns with regard to PG&E and our situation and how does, there's still so much misunderstanding and so much misinformation that I see. Once again, Jen, I'm going to renew my request for us to do an op-ed in the paper that really, are we working on that?
It's done. We just need a final review on it.
Oh, okay.
Greg and Susan took the lead on it. I think it's a great article, but so what the ask was for the board president to submit an op-ed to a press release essentially. That essentially provides the NID perspective on what has been going on with the PG&E situation.
Right. And so will I get an opportunity to see that?
Yeah, you see it when we.
Great. That's really good. I'm happy to hear that.
You're signing it.
Well, I know. That's kind of why she said, oh, they're working on it. I haven't seen it.
You're gonna want to see it.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to want to see it. And then lastly, I get asked about this and I'm curious too, with all of the federal cuts. And then most recently there was some word, and I don't know how real it is, but about cuts to the dam safety folks at the federal level. And I'm wondering, A, is that true? Or do we know that in our experience? And B, do we have any concerns about that?
No, and in fact, there was, we recently received correspondence from FERC that our FERC engineer, who essentially provides dam safety oversight services for FERC, they added an additional person to the team to distribute some of the work a little bit.
Oh, well, that's really good.
I don't know what his level was. It seemed like he was another supervisor or something. Mid-level.
Nice.
Well, that's great.
No, so NID is responsible for dam safety. We do all of our inspections. We do all of our analysis, all of our reporting to FERC and DSOTs. There is absolutely zero reason for anybody in the public to
Great.
have any worries related to the happenings at the federal level.
Thank you.
That's where they have an op-ed.
Dam safety.
Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. With that, is there any last comments by the board or questions? Okay, that will be it. We will adjourn at 10:27. Thank you.